Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome back to the Freestyle Chess G.O.A.T challenge in 2024, the most powerful freestyle random tournament of the year. We are now back in the quarterfinal stage and we're following again the beautiful match between Magnus Carlsen and Alireza Firouzja. Alireza won his game yesterday with the white pieces, which meant that Magnus Carlsen had to now win his game in order to reach the tiebreaks. Really tense game. Let's see now what happened. The game finished a couple of minutes ago. Really crazy things happened all over the board. So with the white pieces here in this particular position, Magnus opened with the move e4. You see again, we see this common method that you play with your pawn that is supported by the rook or maybe by the queen. So we're pushing the pawn that's supported by the heavy artillery. We have seen it many times in freestyle random chess. I think it's really nice method in the beginning. We have e5 by Alireza, g3, c6. We have c3, and now after move g6 we have here certain symmetry. Magnus develops also here the knight to e3, and here also Alireza plays knight to e6. So far really symmetrical setup, but now after a couple more moves you see again Alireza is also repeating knight to e2, knight to e7, and now after rook to f1 Magnus is preparing here to break and enter with the move f4, wants to move the queen somewhere and castle queenside here. That's now the most progressive idea. Very good, I think. Very good setup here so far prepared by Magnus Carlsen. We have rook to f8. Again, Alireza goes for the symmetry. f4, f5, f takes e5. We have f takes e4, and now after rook takes f8, knight takes f8. Finally, the position is not symmetrical anymore. At least something changed on both sides of the board. Now queen to e4, queen to e5, and now Magnus spices up the game with queen to b4. Hits now simply the pawn on b7, and now Alireza already didn't react correctly. He makes already his first inaccuracy in the game. He plays now b6. This move is okay. You're protecting your pawn, but it creates first of all many weaknesses in the position, and a better choice, I think a better dynamic idea for black was to simply play a5, playing more aggressively against the queen. If for instance queen takes b7 happens, then you have this one, rook to b8, and now you take also the pawn on b2. That was, I think, the best defensive idea here for Alireza Firouzja. Okay, we can say the queen is unpleasant here hitting the king, but also the rook is of black is also very active, so at least you would do something. I think in this dynamic position Alireza had more chances to do something with the black pieces, but after move b6 Magnus goes immediate with d4, kicks away the queen. The queen actually doesn't have good square, so that's why Alireza tried to simplify the game in this way, but now Magnus is happy to trade off the queens. He has now many weaknesses that he provoked in black's camp. Still the king is here in the center. He has the possibility to advance the pawn, so very good I think here position for white. Not that this game is over or something for black, but with these two pawns on a4, a5 and a7, I think it's unpleasant to proceed here for black. Magnus goes immediately with the most powerful line here with the move d5. This is a good move by Magnus. He's not allowing again a certain symmetry in the center. If for instance d5 happens for black, if black manages to push the pawn on d5, then the position is static in the center of the board. Nothing can change in the center, so that's why very interesting idea. d5, c takes d5, and now queenside castling. Magnus calculated, of course, in this in a good way. He gets his pawn back for sure. We have rook to c8. Alireza makes another, I think, inaccuracy here, because better choice was simply to castle queenside to get out of this mess on the d file. You see, when the king is staying on the d file, then it's always endangered by the rook's activity. Now for something like knight to d5, you can play even something like this, rook to e8. At least something, at least you're keeping the pressure also against white. But here after rook to c8, Magnus goes now with knight to d5, knight to c6 by Alireza, and now bishop to e3. Notice, as I said, that the king is simply lined up still against the rook on d1. Knight to e6, bishop to g2, normal development, and now Alireza is hoping to get somehow the king in security, but you see it's strange now. You lose many moves in order just to bring your king. You could have already done that with queenside castling that we have seen before. a3 by Magnus, bishop to f7, knight to f4, and now knight to h3. Magnus is provoking new weaknesses. He is playing again on the simple threat idea, just making your opponent react, not to act. So that's why here after knight to h3, h6, Magnus goes with knight to f2 and has now good squares, knight to g4 or knight to e4 to proceed here. So d6, now comes knight to e4, Alireza protects it, and now Magnus goes with a beautiful move, knight to f6 here, beautiful sequence of moves, knight to d7, fork against the bishop and the king, and now after knight to e5 here and d takes e5, this is now a much better continuation for white, especially because of the bishop pair. Look at this, they're very dangerous, and the most important part about this advantage by Magnus Carlsen is that we have here a 3 versus 2 pawn majority on the queen side, which is supported by the bishop pair. So what Magnus needs to do is somehow to push these pawns. Of course, you have to be careful, but top grandmaster and really one of the greatest players of all times will of course know how to proceed here and getting this advantage somehow converted. So we have b4 immediately by Magnus. Good move. As I said, you see how Magnus is seeing the best moves here. A takes b4, a takes b4, knight takes b4 is of course not possible. You would love to do that, but of course the knight is so far protecting the square b4, and now also there is a weakness on a7, and still this knight is also endangered by this bishop. Maybe we can play some discoveries and get the knight on c6. We have g4 by Alireza, king to b2. Magnus gets out of this c-file mess by the rook, so that's why rook to b8, and now after knight to c7, the knight is hanging on c6. Here we have knight takes c7, bishop takes c6. The problem is now of course a5 cannot be played because of simply bishop to a7. You have to step back with the rook. You cannot bring it here on a8 because of the bishop, and now after a couple more moves we'll simply take the pawn, and this is game over, I think, here for black. So that's why after bishop to c6, Alireza tried knight to b5, but now Magnus goes again for the best move. Rook to d7, hitting the bishop, hitting also the pawn, and threatening, of course, also bishop to d5 in order to put more pressure against this bishop on f7. King to f6, Magnus grabs another pawn, knight takes a7, rook to a7, and I think this is now game over with 2 connected passers on the queen side. I think this is unstoppable here for Alireza. This becomes simply a one-way ticket in white's favor. Bishop to g6, again Magnus is trying to play this cover check against the king. King drops back to g5, and now rook to a8. We have b5, bishop to d3, and now rook to a5. Magnus supports, of course, his most important pawn here on the b file. e4 by Alireza. Magnus brings simply the king more towards the center. e3, c4 by Magnus Carlsen. And what should Alireza do? Even if you play something like e2 here, then we have, of course, rook to a1. We block the potential promotion. You try maybe rook to b8, bringing somehow the rook behind. But now we can get our king closer here, and after rook to e1, again, we get simply the king here, push both of these pawns. Nothing can be done, I think, here for black. After move c4, that's why king to f5 was played by Alireza Firouzja, and now after rook to a8, in this particular position, Alireza Firouzja resigned. He knows, of course, that this is simply unstoppable. These 2 pawns are simply too dangerous. Even if you push it, the rook is getting again behind, so nothing can be done. The king is out of game. Great game, I think, here by Magnus Carlsen. But we saw that Alireza had some chances, had some decent opportunities, especially with this pawn sacrifice on b7 to play more dynamically than left afterwards. But okay, this is now an equal result, so it means we'll see more games by Alireza Firouzja and Magnus Carlsen. We'll see the tie breaks, which will start in the next couple of hours. So in my opinion, this is not over. We'll see. Well, Alireza is also a powerful player in Fischer Random Chess. It will be a tense super match for sure. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas here by Magnus Carlsen. He found simply the best ideas in this particular setup. If you want to see more Fischer Random Chess here on my YouTube chess channel, check out our series so far. Here's the link of the playlist, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.